Hi, my name is Drew Stelgis, and I serve as the Assistant Vice President for Student Engagement and Leadership at William & Mary. And it's just a pleasure to be able to spend a little bit of time with you today talking about student life. I want to start with an understanding of our perspective, the perspective we take in supporting students as they develop as active and engaged citizens. Um, this idea or this quote really speaks to us, all the staff and the graduate students and the student employees in the thematic area. When we understand that we have the awesome power to paint our own life story, we're free. And we see each of us as artists with the right to create our own evolving masterpiece. And that's really what we're hoping we're giving students the chance to do, is over time, as appropriate, when they're ready, to help them to create their own evolving masterpiece by finding their voice and being involved in things that have significance and importance and meaning in their lives. The thematic area is comprised of 4 offices and initiatives: the Office of Community Engagement, Student Unions and Engagement, Student Leadership Development, Student Veteran Engagement, and then our work with FIGLY, first generation and or low income students at William & Mary. The students and staff that are part of the thematic area provide developmentally appropriate learning opportunities to students so that they are equipped as educated citizens and efficient, effective, and bold leaders to forge positive change in their communities. That's our purpose statement. That's what we aim for. And how do we accomplish it? Well, I want to describe some of the programs within each of the areas I just outlined. First is the Office of Community Engagement. The office exists to connect William & Mary and community to support students' development as active and engaged citizens, to promote positive community-driven change, to engage students in activities outside and beyond the classroom and beyond the campus. We have partnerships with over 100 local nonprofits and organizations across the country and around the globe. Some of the things your student may be involved in is alternative breaks. They serve in many ways like service trips for students to get involved during breaks or on weekends. Our Griffin School Partnerships is our tutoring and mentoring series of programs for students to be able to tutor and mentor children kindergarten through 12th grade. And we also have courses in community engagement across the curriculum. Our Student Unions and Engagement Department, housed in the Sadler Center, assists with planning over 10,000 events on campus per year. Alma Mater Productions is our student-led programming group that provide events, movies, activities on a weekly basis for students with over 100 events per year. We employ about 75 students in our student unions, and they learn skill set in customer service, technical skill set, in many different areas across the union. And we are in the process of a renovation and construction project to really revolutionize the way we see our student union. We're calling it Sadler West, over 50,000 new square feet that are being constructed and will be completed in August of 2022 for students to continue to enjoy and have an even better experience in the heart of campus, the heartbeat of campus, right alongside our Cohen Career Center, our McLeod Tyler Wellness Center, where campus living is located, and our football stadium. So we are right in the heart of campus, and we're real excited about this expansion project. The Office of Student Leadership Development is responsible for leadership development initiatives, which I'll describe in a little bit more detail in a second. Support for our 475 recognized student organizations. We have annual renewal for all the organizations. We have ongoing support for all the organizations. We also are responsible for supporting ideas for the creation of new organizations. Students who are interested would walk through a process with us in order to ensure that they're going to be as successful as possible. Staff in the Office of Student Leadership Development advise our student assembly, our student government. They're responsible for student fee allocation and reimbursement for our recognized student organizations of the funds that they need in order to be successful. And then we advise our fraternity and sorority life. We have almost 2,000 students who are involved in either a sorority or a fraternity, and we work really hard with the leadership within each of the organizations to ensure that there's leadership development, personal and professional growth and development in the organizations. Our Office of Student Veteran Engagement, our newest office in the thematic area, bolsters the efforts of our student veteran organizations. It connects our veterans with resources on and off campus. It provides a central gathering space for our undergraduate and graduate students who are either active duty or military veterans. And it helps them to get the resources they need in order to be most successful, including employment afterwards and internships during college. And moreover, most as important, it gives students a space to know that there is a home for them on campus. We are purposely centrally located in the Sadler Center. I want to talk a little bit more about leadership development initiatives that your student may be interested in. They will hear about all of this and more, but the terms such as depth over breadth, no title needed, and mentoring matters will be echoed through campus throughout the year. Depth over breadth indicates that we want students to, over time, begin to get involved in things that really mean something to them. They feel as though there's a sense of purpose in the work that they're doing in their student organizations. That they're joining, they're becoming engaged, they're learning about the mission and the objectives and the goals of the organization, and they're becoming more deeply involved. Depth over breadth. No Title Needed is a campaign that we use throughout the year to remind students that you don't necessarily need a positional authority or a title to have a positive impact on an organization. Your ideas matter. Your commitment matters. Attending, participating, thinking, reflecting, becoming more involved matters. You don't need to have the position of chair, vice chair, president, or vice president to make a positive difference in your organization and your community. We know that having a mentor, a faculty, a staff member, or even an upperclassman student is important in students feeling a sense as though they matter, as that their involvement matters. And so we have programs set up to support students in mentoring them. One of the programs that we host for freshmen and sophomores is the Student Leadership Foundation. It is just that, it's foundational in approach, where students apply in the fall semester to be part of a spring semester cohort that walks them through everything from understanding more their strengths, using StrengthsFinder, an assessment tool, asking big questions around engaging diverse perspectives, learning about this concept of emotional intelligence and the significance of it in leadership, understanding different conflict styles, and recognizing through a process of critical thought and reflection the importance of resilience and persistence, leading to this idea of authentic excellence. We also have the DC Summer Institute for Leadership and Community Engagement. Freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and rising seniors can apply to be a part of the summer program. The program consists of 7 academic credits, including a guaranteed internship, and for those who want it, an opportunity to live in housing in Washington, D.C. The D.C. Summer Institute is administered by our Washington Center, and students should definitely take a look at some of the opportunities through our Washington Center. We have a cohort of 15 to 20 students each year who are selected to participate in the Courageous Leadership and Authentic Excellence program. Students are selected in the summer, and then they begin their time with a 3-night overnight retreat in a picturesque place several hours away from campus, the mountains of Virginia. And in that time, we begin to talk about what it is that the cohort wants to accomplish in supporting the idea of courageous leadership in their organizations and authentic excellence throughout their time in William and Mary, both in their academic and co-curricular environments. Students then spend the entire year together with monthly meetings, having a mentor, getting additional professional development. They take part in programs like the Open Mind platform. We learn about the science and then the behavior of dealing with emotionally charged activities, both on campus and in the world. And we encourage students to take classes in courageous leadership, classes in wellness that are scattered throughout the curriculum. I hope you'll encourage your student to do the same. I want to briefly mention our commitment to FIGLY. FIGLY stands for First Generation and/or Low Income Student. And while the two don't perfectly overlap, the two groups face similar challenges as they navigate higher education. About 85% of our students overlap between being both first generation and coming from a lower income family background. We are here to support them, to provide structures in place, both formal and informal, to be a support structure for them to be most successful academically, socially, experientially, and in their career pursuits. We have a council of faculty and staff, 40 plus people who come together on a monthly basis to interact, to come to understand more about how they can be most effective. We have a mentoring program. Over 200 of our FIGLY students sign up, and we have 200 faculty, staff who are there to mentor our students throughout the year. The next thing I want to talk about is the framework that guides our work. Martin Seligman, a researcher from Penn State, over a period of many years, studied and researched what supported people's general satisfaction in life. Sometimes he's called the happiness researcher. And happiness is not the only emotion, obviously, that we experience or that he was studying. But what he really came to find over decades worth of experience is how individuals flourish and how community is strengthened. The acronym we use is PERMA-V, and I want to describe each of them in a little bit more detail beyond this slide. The first is that we want our students to be able to experience on a regular basis satisfaction, feelings as though they are living the pleasant life, that they experience joy on a regular basis. Now, this doesn't mean that each and every day is joyful, but on a monthly basis, and as they look back on the month, they feel as though there's a sense of positive emotion, pleasantness, happiness, or satisfaction with what they're doing. Engagement. We hope that students will find something where they feel a sense of flow in their life, where they enjoy it just for the sake of doing it. Maybe it's joining Team Blitz, our running club, or maybe it's joining a student organization they previously had never heard of and had no expertise in, but they were interested in, and all of a sudden they find themselves looking forward to it. And instead of looking at the clock, waiting for the meeting to be over, they can't wait for it to get started, and all of a sudden the meeting's over and it seems like time flew. Some people who have an intense hobby really get into that sense of flow. They enjoy drawing or painting so much that they lose all sense of time. And we want our students to find something where they get into such a sense of engagement that they get into that flow. R stands for relationships. We want our students to have at least a few relationships that they really trust one another, having positive relationships with others, where they know that that person or those people will be there for them in good times and bad. We want our students to develop healthy relationships with at least a few others. Meaning. We hope that our students feel as though they're part of something bigger than themselves, that they believe in what they're doing, and so that they're willing to put in the work. They believe in William and Mary as a community that may not be perfect, but is working really hard every year to get better. Or that recognized student organization that's just getting started or that was stumbling a little bit, but they believe in it and they want to make it better. They have a vision for a better future. And accomplishment. Success for the pure mastery of it, purely for its own sake, not because a grade is contingent upon the success, but that the student, the person, is determining what that sense of accomplishment is. It's the student who's never run before, but puts a goal ahead of him or her or their self that by the end of the semester they want to try to run a 5K. And it's not about the time, it's about the accomplishment of being able to run that 5K. And that leads to this idea of vitality, that our students have strong physical and mental health. So one way to check in with your student is to casually ask, are you feeling a sense of positivity or positive emotion regularly? Do you feel like as though you're part of something bigger than yourself? Are you developing some friendships that you really trust? Are you doing something just for the sake of pure enjoyment, not because you have to, but you want to? And hey, do you ever get into a sense of flow where time isn't the major factor, but the enjoyment of the activity is the major factor? Now, PERMA V is not chasing happiness or a mood. It's not blind optimism. It's not a Pollyanna approach to life. It's scientifically grounded. It's researched over decades. That we see that both individuals and communities do best when this is part of the formula. So what is it? Well, it's a commitment to an intentional deepening of purpose, of values fulfillment, of articulate or understanding where your values are, and then being able to express them on a daily basis. It's enjoyment. It's committing to restorative health practices, restoring at the end of the day, the end of a long week, and making that so much that it's a part of the habit of your life. And it's encouragement, about both giving and receiving encouragement. Giving encouragement to family and friends, and then receiving that encouragement and taking it as such. Now, P, the P in PERMA, or positive emotion, it's not dependent on your personality or your current environment. These two factors make it easier or harder to attain P, or positive emotion, but P is truly dependent on an intentional, committed perspective. And so your student may be in a tough environment. They may not be getting along too well with their roommate, or they haven't necessarily found something that has a sense of meaning yet. But if they can commit to this idea of positive emotion, being values driven, having restorative healthy practices so much that they become habit forming, and both receiving encouragement and giving encouragement on a regular basis, what seems hard or uncertain right now becomes habit forming. So questions you can ask your student: where do you find enjoyment and why? And that could be in an obscure place, an unlikely place. But where are you giving and receiving encouragement? And this really leads to giving the students a sense of what is their voice? What is it that's unique and singular and spectacular about them in relation to their time at William and Mary? This is a picture of the start of the Be and Goody 5K run. That's a part of campus recreation and our wellness programs. It's a race I love, and I love it for a number of reasons. First, Be and Goody, William and Mary alumna and honorary alum, developed this as something that they wanted to always be free, so that each and every student and community member who wanted to participate, it was accessible to them. There was no financial barrier to being able to participate. And they wanted it to be a real race. It wanted to be something where it felt as though it was a real race where people could have a sense of accomplishment. So every year, just before Thanksgiving, the event is hosted by Campus Recreation, and at this point, 1,000 students and family members and community members participate. If you look closely at this picture, you'll see right in the middle, front, just to the left of the double yellow lines, is a kid about half the size as everybody else. That's a picture of my son, taken about 5 or 6 years ago. I love this picture. I hold on to it. I think about it a lot. Our son Braden escaped or moved to the front of the line, and we were standing in the middle of the pack, toward the back of the pack. And he let us know that he wanted to try to run with the big kids. And so we let him, with a little bit of uncertainty, but a confidence that he'd be okay, because there's a lot of students around who we knew would take good care of him, and they did. But what I love about this is that in this moment, he felt intense pride and a confidence that his voice was in running with the big kids. It wasn't about a certain time. It wasn't trying to be first. It was about his voice being that he belongs. He belongs in that space. It wasn't about his height or his age difference. He belonged in that space, and he develops his voice through that. So we all want our students to feel that moment where they belong, they're included, they fit in the space, and their voice matters. So what do we do next? Well, when your student texts you or calls, you can ask questions such as the following. So tell me more about student life or student activities at William & Mary. And what are some groups that you might join? Is there a group that you could join that would just be for pure enjoyment? That you could do it just for the fun of it? That it isn't because it's something that you think would look really good on a resume necessarily or for your future, but just for pure enjoyment. And then you could report that it sounds like there are several to choose from that you're excited for them to explore. Now is a great time for them to explore. And over time, to find something, or even a few things, that have significant meaning to them, and where they get into a sense of flow because they can't wait to do it. It brings them positive emotion. They're engaged so much that there's a sense of flow, that they're building trusting relationships through it, that they feel as though they're a part of something that's bigger than themselves, and they're doing it just because they can, and they are the judges of their own success. Not a teacher, not a professor, not another student who's older, but they are the judge of their own success. Now, what happens when there might be a stumbling block where it's not quite working so well, and you know that your student is struggling a little bit? Contact me, email me. I would love to email back and forth with you to see how we can help your student get involved, to get unstuck. And I can find all sorts of ways to subtly engage with them. We have an incredible staff across the thematic area of student engagement and leadership who are excited and ready to work with your student. We'll find ways for them to connect. You know, what it comes down to, like I said earlier, is this idea that we are all here to support your student to develop a sense of meaning and purpose, that they're part of something bigger than themselves. So call on us. We look forward to working with you. Thank you so much, and welcome again to William & Mary.